Good evening. Welcome to the Mzansi Gunner Podcast on Gunnercast SA. We have another panel with you today. We have Renai, who's a regular, back with us today. And we have Eugene and Greg for their second visits with us. So we are excited to hear from everyone in the panel. Ryan is just having some technical difficulties. He'll be joining us shortly. Andre and Daniel got sick and had family commitments, so they had to pull out. But we have still got a lot to talk about, seeing that we didn't have a show 2 weeks ago. We are going to need to jump into 4 weeks worth of news. So let's get started. We're going to look at the Fulham game going first, and that we won 1-0. And just an overarching theme of this this particular month is no goals have been conceded. So once again, we had Fulham away, and that has been a very tricky fixture for us in the past. In the past 3 seasons, we have struggled with Fulham away. They have beat us, they have drawn against us. So they're a mid-block team, and I think that is something that we have struggled against, physical mid-blocks. So they were very compact, and we scored the goal, but we didn't look like conceding. I think that's the thing that I'm really enjoying about watching us at the moment, is that I don't stress about us conceding. Like, other teams will have a chance, but we block the shot, and they're hardly getting shots against us at the keeper. Teams will attack us or come on the break, but we just have such a fast recovery. And I don't know if you guys saw that graphic about high lines, that we have the highest line in the Premier League in terms of defensive lines, but we aren't conceding goals. So that is just a phenomenal kind of double stat kind of concept, is that we have a highest line in the Premier League, but we've only conceded 3 goals. So yeah, that's a bit of the summary from my perspective. What did you think of the Fulham game, Renai? What was your thoughts about Fulham?
Yeah, I think currently we're in a very good space as far as the team is concerned. The way in which we never look like we are a team that is likely to concede. And in order for us to win games, we just need to score. It doesn't matter as to whether we score 2, we score 3 or 4. But if we can score the goal, we are winning the games, which is a very good place to be, given that I'm sure there is no goalkeeper who's having a great time like Raya at this point in time. In a sense that he's got that security and assurance that never mind us keeping clean sheets, but we are not even threatened to a point where teams are struggling to get to target the shots on target. They are struggling to get that, which is for the longest of time that I've been watching soccer, it's unheard of. The last time we had something similar to what we are seeing now, which I would even say it's slightly better than the 2005 or I think 2005 Chelsea Mourinho's team. It's I think we are in a phase where, as fans, we just need to get to understand that the team will do and it will adjust according to what is needed to be done. We have a fair balance between playing nice in terms of creating enough opportunities and also collectively defending as a unit, which is something that is working for us a lot for us lately. So my standout performance for the game, I would give it to our back four. Our back four, they always show up, and they've been a fundamental building block into our attack. Because if you can look into the way in which we are attacking, it's not just a matter of us having a good midfield or front line, but if you can check, a lot of our threats are coming from our fullbacks. Timber and Calafiori have been phenomenal into building our attack and adding numbers into the attacking line as well. So the game was one of those games wherein, although we were not as fluid as we would love to, but we knew how to win games like that. Ordinarily, we would be losing such games wherein we get to make one mistake and we are punished. We lose the game, or we get a draw that we wouldn't have ordinarily wanted. So for a mere fact that we are able to win those games, which seems to be a bit more difficult than open-ended games wherein the team is attacking and we are attacking. I think we struggle a lot with mid block, and we are now in a position where however way you come, whatever strategy that you come with, we seem to have all the answers to unlock whatever system that we are faced with.
Yeah, no, that's true, bro. I think it's a revelation. It's really, and it was Trossard's first goal of the campaign that he got against Fulham, and Saka was man of the match. So, what were your thoughts on Saka's performance and Trossard's performance, Eugene?
Hi everyone. Yeah, look, I think when I looked at the starting lineup on that day, um, because I think that match comes off the back of a Martinelli performance where he came off the bench and scored. I think in the Champions League, I might be wrong, but I think the game before that one, Martinelli had done well, and a lot of people were calling for him to start that match, and I saw Mikel Arteta starting him, and I was like, okay. I wasn't disappointed. I was happy because I really like Trossard, because I believe he gives you so much control of the ball, because he's not your typical winger who will hug the sideline, But when I saw him, and I was like, okay, let's see what's gonna happen. When I saw him scoring in on the corner, and I think he got the goal off the back of Gabby's flick on, and when I saw them celebrating, I was like, okay, it looks like this was worked on, So I was impressed with that. I was impressed with Trossard. With regards to Bukayo, I think Bukayo wasn't so. He hasn't been himself lately. But I think it's well documented that he hasn't been he hasn't been fit enough, if I should put it like that. So I wasn't really worried about him. The one thing that I um, wish we could have is to get Madueke back ASAP, because at least when you've got Madueke back, Bukayo doesn't really need to play more minutes than he should. I think even now he's not, because he's being taken off games, which is refreshing for once, that whenever Saka is not at his pure best, we don't struggle for results, which would have been the case in past seasons. So yeah, I was so happy with Trossard. Wasn't really disappointed with Bukayo, but yeah, wasn't really impressed. But we all know the reasons.
Yeah. Greg, what was your thoughts on the game against Fulham, the London derby, and yeah, what did you think?
I think, as you mentioned in the beginning there, Fulham's in the last couple of seasons has almost felt like a bit of an Achilles heel. It's almost felt like, we're going there, not so sure if we're going to get a result, playing them home or away. It's been dodgy, but on the back of our form to start the season, the way the team is gelling, obviously again talking about just shots on target. Teams can't even get shots on target. It's it's a great time to be an Arsenal fan. Whenever I bump into other people, they're like, yo, or like other football fans are like, it's a great time to be an Arsenal fan. And I'm like, oh yeah, it is. Oh yeah, it is. So I think generally, obviously not an open, expansive game, not a, but again, you go back to the fact that teams are being told by their managers, you can't go out there and try and go toe to toe with these guys because we're going to catch 5, 6 goals. Is going to get embarrassing. So let's sort of try and keep our goal difference intact a little bit. Let's try not concede 5 goals, because they know we'll slice them open. And again, coming back to the set piece narrative, set piece FC, we love it. People must just keep getting wound up about that because it's as part of the game as anything else in the game. So, we're using that to our advantage to get that edge, when we need it. And, when teams are putting a low block in and, essentially parking the bus so they're not leaking goals left, right, and center. And yeah, I mean, again, just a dominant defensive performance all around. So yeah, look, I mean, just super happy, hey?
Yeah, I think going to the set piece thing that I think is going to be a common theme in our match reviews for this month. Ryan, what was your kind of perception of our ability to defend and attack set pieces during the Wenger years? And is that something that you think Arteta probably was maybe frustrated about playing for Wenger? After being at Rangers, he probably was drilled with set pieces and then maybe felt that there wasn't enough attention paid to it. And I know that I saw an interview with Freddie Ljungberg saying something along those lines, that they did them, but they didn't really do like a lot of tactical work with set pieces. And it's a big part of the game. So I like that Arteta has paid attention to something that has been a weakness of Arsenal in the last 10, 15 years. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, 100%. Wenger brought the 4-3-3 essentially to the Premier League, right? So he was very strict on fitness. He was very strict on discipline on the training ground, but he wasn't very strict on defensive contributions or defensive efforts. I think our defensive expert was Tony Adams, who was drunk for half the season. So I don't think we were, the type of team that was going to try and lock out opponents for 90 minutes. And I'm sure there was a frustration because when we were scoring freely, we did really well. But in the latter years of his tenure, we were quite vulnerable. And we saw that, when we had weaker guys in defense. Even when we had Thomas Vermaelen, who was a baller on defense, he would still push up as far as he could, and we would end up vulnerable. It was just Wenger ball, which we loved. But it's a question that I asked myself recently: is how well we would do with that style of football nowadays in the current Premier League, just because of how tough it is right now. All teams are very structured and very organized. We'll talk about it later, but that Glasner Palace side is unbelievably disciplined, and they're a very difficult team to beat. So going there to get points was pretty incredible. So yeah, I think it's a hat off to Arteta, because when he took over this Arsenal team, we were vulnerable as well. If you remember, we were in that first season, I think 22-23, when we did actually push after the rough seasons that we had prior to that. Our biggest issue was our defensive vulnerabilities. And at stages last season, I think he took it a bit too far. Maybe the injuries played a role, but he became very rigid and very kind of defense-minded, and it made us all frustrated. But we're seeing the fruits of his labor now. We're seeing kind of what he was trying to achieve. And it's funny because, everyone talks about the set piece goals and how we're not creating enough, and I actually took down some stats for that Fulham game. We had 63% possession. We had 16 shots with 5 on target. Fulham didn't have a single shot on target against us. That's not a team that relies on set pieces. Granted, we score them because we're very good at them, but it's not all we do. So I think we've come a long way. I think the fact that in that same game, Raya didn't have to make a single save is testament to what Arteta's created. And I think, I'm sure playing under him, especially because he was a captain under him briefly, I'm sure it did get frustrating. Arteta was a defensive-minded midfielder, so I'm sure he wanted to see a bit more of an effort from the team on defense. So that's a good point. I love where we're at, and I'm keen to talk about it more.
So, Ryan, as you mentioned, I brought up some of the stats there. We had 1.9 expected XG, and they had 0.7. We had 16 shots to 9. And field possession, as you said, 62%. And then field tilt. Look at final third entries, almost more than double of Fulham's. And field tilt, I don't know if you guys know about field tilt, but it's how often you are in the opposition's half. 72% of the time we were in their half. So, yeah, I think it's these are the types of things that are vital to understand. This is also the running XG, and this is where the shots were generated from and where the goal was generated from, quite close to the goalkeeper where Trossard scored from. And here's the field tilt. So as you can see, we dominated most of the game. We were in their half. So yeah, those are some things that we want to look at. Let's go into the next game. What was the next game that we had? It was, I think it was the Atletico Madrid game. Yeah, it was the Atletico Madrid game. So we had, and then just going back to the Fulham game, was that also not when Eze was put in midfield? Or was that the previous game before that when things changed and he started to become more attacking and less defensive? I'm just trying to remember. Can anyone remind me?
I think it might have been when he started to move into the center, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might have been the case. We've played so much good football recently; it's hard to remember. I'll have to reflect on that, but I think so. Yeah, that seems about right. It was after the first one was Olympiacos, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I think Fulham one was the first Premier League game, maybe. Yeah, when he moved into the midfield.
Yes, I think you're right. Okay, let's move on to Atletico Madrid. So obviously we had quite a tight game. We expected it to be tight with Diego Simeone. He's a very tactical manager. He's a very defensively solid manager. And then in the second half, we had 4 goals in the space of 13 minutes. So we had quite a breakthrough when they were trying to attack us a little bit. We just found space and we scored goals. So, and I think just remind me, was it 4 open play goals that we scored?
One set piece. I think it was Declan Rice's free kick, and then Gabby scored. Yeah.
Oh yes. That was to get the ball rolling, and then thereafter. So that's like kind of our way of cracking open the kind of defense, is getting that set piece in and then playing open play more thereafter. So yeah, so that was good. Any thoughts from you and I on the Atletico Madrid game?
It was a very interesting game, especially given that everyone knows the manner in which Atletico normally approach their games. They are very defensively intense, and they are also very good in counter attacks. And we're not talking about a team that is as poor as a lot of people might have made it seem like they are, because this is the team that went on and played. They won, I think, 4-2, if not 4-3 against Real Madrid, meaning that they are able to get a lot of goals when they are given an opportunity to attack. So it was a game wherein they are known to be very solid in defense. We are also known to have mastered the art of defending as well. So it was going to be interesting as to how the game will pan out. And the first half and the second half were almost 2 completely different games altogether, because at first we kept on asking questions, and they also gave us a bit of a threat in the beginning. I think there was an opportunity which what's this guy? I forgot the striker's name. He used to play for City. He missed a very good
Alvarez.
chance in the beginning.
Alvarez,
Alvarez, yes. Alvarez missed a very good chance. And we normally don't give a lot of those chances for anyone who's attacking us. So my feel there was ahead. That goal went in. We were going to see a completely different game altogether. But overall, we came back in the second half and we dominated them in every facet of the game. So it was one of the most interesting games that I've seen, especially given the fact that everyone has been saying that we are playing negatively, we're defending. There's no way that you're playing defensive football and you're scoring 4 goals. So I actually loved the fact that the goal that we opened there, I think it was a set piece, which was a corner kick. Big Gabi scored the goal. The second, if I remember correctly, he had an assist. You'll correct me if I'm wrong, guys.
Yeah, let's just get the match stats, and then just continue, and then we'll get the match stats from Scott Willis.
Oh, okay. So it really, like I said, similar to the game that we played against Fulham. Like, you just need to choose your struggle. If you are going to come at us, we will punish you. If you're gonna play low block, we'll get those set pieces and we'll get the goals as well. So I think every manager that is going to play Arsenal will be having a huge headache as to how are they going to contain us. And one person whom we are not speaking a lot about is Zubimendi. Zubimendi has been giving us so much. And personally, I was one of those people who thought maybe we might be missing Partey, but I even forgot that we had Partey last season. So he's one of the biggest revelation for our team. The amount of control that he gives us and the composure and the tempo that he managed to dictate in how we approach our games, it's incredible. So yeah, I also love the fact that I'm seeing a lot of changes that Mikel has been making lately. So we're not waiting for players to either be injured or to be on yellow cards in order for us to make changes. So where we need to impact games, we are putting in fresh legs, and the guys that are coming in are equally as capable as the guys that are starting games, which is a very, very good problem to have. So yeah, that was overall a very brilliant game, and it does put us in a very good position to be looked at as one of the teams that is a favorite to go all out and win it. I don't see any team that is better suited like we are as far as the depth of the squad, as well as people that can come in and affect the game positively compared to any other team.
I think that's a good point. I think I was more confident of our ability in the UCL because of it's less games. We face less low blocks, and teams are more expansive against us. So I thought that's why we would do better in the UCL. And then I think I'm starting to shift to the Premier League now because of the way Liverpool have dropped off, and City are also not looking their full best. I mean, I know they're playing really well. But I just feel like, I don't know. I mean, I don't think we'll win both. We'll win one of them, and it just feels like the Premier League is more within our grasp now. But, I mean, we haven't conceded a goal in the Champions League either, and we're about to play Slavia Prague. So things are looking good in both tournaments, and I think it's basically like, I mean, even both are viable, but I do see us only winning one. So I'm happy to win either. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I just want to share the stats. So we had 2.4 expected goals, even though we scored 4. 19 shots versus 11. And possession just slightly more than them. And then field tilt, we had 61%. So it was very good. That's the running XG. As you can see, it just jumped up, but we already had built up an XG of about 1 before the goal. So the second goal was a very low jump in the XG. So actually both goals, because they weren't very likely. And as you can see, Atletico had 0.5 XG the whole game, which is very low. So we just are absolutely crushing teams and strangling them. So yeah, what's your thoughts, Greg, on the Atletico game?
I mean, I want to start by saying, you don't think we can do both, brother? With the squad we have and the way we're playing football? My man, I was actually going to come on here, and one of the comments, since you brought it up now, one of the comments I was going to make is, and I'm not getting too loud about it yet. There's still a long season to go. We know December, the fixtures are racked up. We're playing, 3 times a week. Sometimes it gets hectic. It gets a lot. And I just, like I said, it's a long road. But if you're looking at our performance in the Premier League, you're looking at, what teams could possibly challenge us on a Carabao Cup front, an FA Cup front. Like, you're looking at the Liverpools, the Cities, the Chelseas, the Tottenhams, who are not performing. They're not performing. And Arne Slot looks like he's fallen off the bus a bit. Pep's just hasn't got it right this season. You can't dominate forever. I say it all the time. No team ever dominates forever. People go through cycles and through runs, but it doesn't last forever and ever. I just looking at the start of the season, I think in the back of every Gunner's minds, although people might not say it out loud, or people might not want to, line themselves up for some pushback banter from other clubs or some pushback sort of, catching heat from other oaks. I really do feel like, definitely in the back of my mind, I'm going, sure, it'll make those 3 seasons of second place so worth it if we do the quadruple. No one can tell me squat. If we do the quadruple, I'll be like, don't worry. Tell me. Yeah, tell me again how we came second place 3 seasons in a row to catapult ourselves into a quadruple. I'll wear that badge with absolute pride. So yeah, no, look,
you're gonna get clipped, Greg.
Let's go again. It's fine. Look, I mean, again, it's not something that I'm pushing hard. It's not something that I'm sort of saying, to a lot of rival fans or in my group of Arsenal fans, mates and stuff. Oh no, guys, this is a real reality. But I think, it's not doable. You know what I mean? And I think that, Sir Alex Ferguson very famously said, goals win you games, defense wins you titles. And right now, arguably, we have one of the best defenses in the world, if not the best. And, on the back of our success over Real Madrid last season, on the back of, consistency over the past 3 seasons, on the back of our summer transfer window, on the back of us really bolstering the squad. I was saying to one of my mates the other day, Odegaard's injured at the moment. Madueke is injured. I mean, last season, one of these players goes down and you're going, please don't be injured. Oh my word, we can't afford it, please. Now it's like, yeah, okay, they're missed and it's great to have everyone available, but are we really missing them that much? Clearly not. So, yeah, I don't know. I think on the back of all of that, I think definitely a title, definitely. But I don't think it's a far shot. But yeah, back to the Atletico game. I think obviously quite a tightly contended first half, and that second half, we just turned up the heat. I just played football at Milk Bar and went up into the restaurant there to watch the game, and it was just, mint football. Diego Simeone's face. When they zoomed in on his face, I was just like, yeah, welcome, buddy. Welcome to playing Arsenal in this season.
But didn't he
yeah,
say that we're the best team that he's played this season? I think he said something along those lines.
yep, he did. He did say that.
Thanks,
So,
Greg.
yeah.
Thanks for your take. Eugene, what's your thoughts on the Atletico game? And do you remember who was the man of the match? I'm just trying to get that. Just unmute there. I'll get the man of the match if you don't.
Yeah, I think Victor Gyökeres was the man of the match because he scored
Yes,
twice,
yes.
if I'm not mistaken. I might be
No,
wrong.
Yeah, so he scored with his member.
Yeah, but I think he was the man of the match. Yeah. Yeah. So
It's a bit
I think,
there, bro.
you know, with that match was in the first half, we played very well. We created a couple of chances. They were also in the match. I think somebody spoke about the chance that that Julian Alvarez created for himself, because that was not a high XG chance he created there. It was just a snapshot from range which happened to hit the post, and those are the kind of chances that we are conceding this year. You know, we're no longer doing that thing where we're dominating, because I remember in the past, I think it was last year, where we would like dominate the majority of the match and then just consider a high XG chance out of the blue, and the other team would score. But what I like, and I think that might be the thing with the Zubimendi, is that we are in control of the match, and we are no longer conceding those high XG chances. And you know, my thing with Zubimendi is, I watch Arsenal and I don't see him in the game. And I go back and I remember that someone once said the best defensive midfielders and defenders to an extent are the ones that you don't see in the match. The best defender is the one that doesn't need to make a tackle. That's why William Saliba is so highly rated, because you don't see him so many times where he's having to make a tackle, because his positioning and his reading of the game. So he doesn't really need to make as many tackles as other defenders would do, and that's the thing about Zubi, because he reads the game very well. He just keeps the ball ticking, and he makes the right decisions almost always. So yeah, you know, I want to maybe it's a bit still too quick or too early, but I would compare him to somebody like Busquets, because when Barcelona were at their prime, I wouldn't see what Busquets was doing in there, but you would see him just, you know, keeping it simple and keeping it ticking, and that's what Zubi is doing. Yeah, in that match, the second half, we got that set piece, Declan Rice, beautiful delivery to Gabby, and yeah, I think Gabby also was responsible for the third goal, which was, no, I think the fourth goal, which was the Gyökeres tap in from the corner, which looked similar to what we saw yesterday, because it was Gabby from the back post putting the ball back into where it came from, and then it found Gyökeres. And you can see that these are some of the things that they're working on. You know, it's not just one set piece that we have. And I also like the fact that, you know, our rivals are having a meltdown every time we score from a set piece. And yeah, we are a set piece team. So what? You know, so what? And yeah, the other thing, and the other person I think that you know raised his hand in that game was Miles Lewis Kelly. He was immense in that match. That run to provide that assist for Gabriel Martinelli was just top class. And to think that I think someone was saying that, when our players are getting injuries, we don't seem to miss them, and I looked at that match and I looked at the starting lineup, and every time these days when I don't see Ricardo Calafiori in the starting lineup, I'm like, oh, are you sure? But Mzansi Lewis Kelly is proving to be equally as brilliant as Calafiori. So yeah, that's the thing. And Martinelli is proving that this year he might just be the guy. You remember, guys? I'm sure when City was winning those 4 league titles in a row, there was times where first half of the season you would see Phil Foden. And then the next half, you no longer sing Phil Foden, you sing somebody else. And I'm thinking, and those were the days when Arteta was still there, and you would feel like I'm feeling like maybe with this squad, we might see in the second half of the season a change in our strongest lineup. We might see maybe a Mzansi Lewis Kelly now starting to start many games than Calafiori. We might see a Trossard going onto the bench and coming on as a substitute more than what we're seeing now, because now it's Gabriel Martinelli who's not starting games, and we might see also Havertz coming back into the lineup. And I think in that match, for me, that was the most impressive thing to see, that the changes that he made, there wasn't a drop off against one of the best sides in Europe, in Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, definitely. And just to speak on Mzansi Lewis Kelly again, I think his pressure resistance is what just blows me away. Players come and press him, he puts his body between the ball, and then he drives into open space. He's like a combination of Zubimendi and Rice, but a younger, more raw version, because Rice drives into space and Zubimendi is pressure resistant, and Mzansi Lewis Kelly is both. So he has to play in midfield in the future. I just don't see him playing at left back for the rest of his career. And I know it's good at the moment because Tuchel is playing him as a left back, and there's not a lot of left backs in England. So he's going to get a lot of time as a left back for England. So I think he's probably asked to play left back more, knowing how strong our midfield is. But there's a question here: what player, if they get injured for more than a month, maybe 2, which players would seriously derail our title charge? And they said, this person Charles said Declan, which is it's a good shot. I would say it would have to be Declan and Zubimendi. If they both get injured, I think then things are looking dodgy for us. But then I would literally see Miles stepping into midfield. I think that would happen if one or both of them got injured. You could have Miles stepping into midfield. And I think playing CM. It's just giving feedback. Playing CM, and then I just wanted to go back to a comment here from Charles earlier about Visit Rwanda, which it's more political, but it's an interesting comment. He's from the USA, so thanks for tuning in. What's your regional take on Visit Rwanda sponsorship deal from Arsenal? I think it is something that we have talked about on the groups. Just to kind of off-ramp quickly, I think it's just nice to interact with the comments. I know that there are quite a lot of Congolese Africans or Congolese citizens of South Africa that are affected, and their families are affected by the war that's happening from Rwanda's side. So it is something that a lot of people within the South African Arsenal supporters group have been calling for to be taken off the shirts or the sponsorship to be withdrawn. I just know that I think Paul Kagame is a big Arsenal fan, and so it's a very tricky one. I don't want to get into politics too much. I'll just quickly mention that, but I think from what I've picked up, and my personal views are that it's something that is worrying a lot of South African Arsenal fans, and also because I think we just correct me if I'm wrong, we sent some soldiers up and we lost some soldiers in that conflict. So it's a difficult one. Just to quickly off-ramp, and then we can come back. I think let's move on to the next game, which was the Premier League again, and that was, let me just get it. It was Crystal Palace 1-0. So, Ryan, we haven't spoken to you for a while. What was your thoughts on the Crystal Palace game?
Just on the Atletico game quickly.
Yeah, sure.
I think the most impressive thing there was how high our passing percentage was. It was incredibly high against a difficult team who are a defensively sound team. So I think we controlled that game really well. We spoke about Miles Lewis-Skelly's run. He actually had the most successful dribbles of anyone in the team, on the field actually in that game. And in our team, Zubimendi had the most. He created the most chances. So that's where our midfield strength comes in. And I agree that Declan Rice or Zubimendi injuries would be devastating. The only thing we didn't mention was how was that finish from Martinelli after the run from Miles Lewis-Skelly? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was the perfect game for us. A set-piece finish, 2 poacher goals from Gyökeres, which is what we need, and a great run from Miles Lewis-Skelly. So that was a great statement from us. We dominated a very strong side in Europe. And it showed maturity, because if you remember against Bayern Munich, it was the season before last, I think, where we just crumbled under that pressure, and our team looked young for the first time. We looked really young. We looked just inexperienced. We're looking mature now. We're looking like a team that can take on anyone. So I'm with you, Greg, man. I'm on board. I'm on board with this. Maybe not a quadruple, but I think a double is a fair if I can shout. Sorry for swearing. I'm on board. I'm excited. I think, however, the best game of the season and the most important game so far was Crystal Palace. That was going to be a challenge from day one, because that is a very good side. That is a very well-coached side. I actually said it was just on a group chat during the game that if either of us pressed each other any harder, we would switch sides. That's how intense the pressing was in that game. I don't know if you guys noticed it. Palace were pressing us, we were pressing them. It was just high press all day long. If anyone made a mistake, it was going to lead to a goal. We had 59.7% possession, 0.92 XG. We dominated that game against Palace, a very strong side, and I think that was a big statement as well. So I think, you talk about Fulham, we call them a bogey team, when in truth, we beat them once and drew once last season. So we never lost to Fulham last season. So that's how high our standards are. If you look at some of the teams that we've had to play against that we've been a bit concerned about, in my opinion, I think the strongest team we faced so far was actually Palace in terms of what they would bring against us. So I think it was a big statement. I think we did well. Yeah, you've got the 59.7% possession there. Final third entry is 55. I didn't actually see that before. That's incredible. That's a huge statement.
The thing about Palace, which they've actually been quite attacking against other teams, and they were very compact and defensive against us. So it just once again shows what teams are paying compliment to us, is that they know that they will be torn apart by us. So Palace, once again, were very compact.
And it's interesting that they were so compact, because prior to the game, Glasner was talking about our defense specifically and how strong it was. So I would have thought they would have tried to maybe have a bigger go on attack. But I think we've become a team. We'll talk about it just now, but I noticed this, as you know, I obviously had to go to an auction yesterday, so I missed my first Arsenal game of the season, which is a weird experience. But I watched the replay today, and I saw, I don't know if you've noticed, but Saka is running different lines now. He actually runs straight down the middle, and Gyökeres is feeding the ball to him. So we've become kind of three-dimensional. We've added different elements to our attack, and I think it's scaring teams a little bit. So I think we are not only a strong defensive team and a set-piece specialist, but we're also a very dangerous team on attack, and I think other teams are aware of that.
No, that's good points, Ryan. I just want to quickly read a comment here. So we have good afternoon, gentlemen. Why don't I see a lady amongst you? So we need to step up again. But I have asked 2 ladies in the past to join the pod, and they both respectfully declined. So we will make a plan. Either one of us will be wearing a wig next week or next time, or Sarami, if you are a lady, I don't know if you're a lady or a guy, please reach out. If you're on one of the groups, just send one of us a message on the panel. If you are a lady that would like to be on the pod, we'd love to have some representation from the ladies on the pod as well. So yeah, let's get back to the Palace. Renai, what's your thoughts on Palace?
It was a break. Okay, you can go.
No. I just wanted to say to Ryan, some great points there, but like some fantastic points, some fantastic analysis. Always good to hear from you, bud.
Thank you, man. You too. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, it was a brilliant game. I think the cherry on top was Eze's goal. It was really good to see Eze scoring that goal. And the most interesting part is that he scored a similar goal against us last season. So could be one of those signature goals that we'll be seeing a lot from him. But other than that, it was a very interesting game. Tactically, the teams were very, very well aware of what they wanted to do, and we saw our defense. I think, as far as the way in which Palace played, it is one of the team that is it's one of the team that is very, very difficult to defend against. And we showed that we are much more than capable of defending against them. They've got a lot of goals in them. We've seen them scoring. I think they scored about 3 against Liverpool. They also scored, I think it was 2 on the Community Shield against them in the beginning of the season. So having them for 90 minutes plus optional time without even a shot on target, that was a big statement from our defensive side, and it then goes and proves the way in which we are so solid as far as defense is concerned. So yeah, it was one of those games where we just know how to get the points, regardless of how tight the game might be. Which, in my opinion, that was a very tactically balanced game from both sides. But we did manage to get the win, which is the most important thing. Knowing how to win, like in a game like that, it's something that we've always complained about as fans, to say that there are just games wherein we don't seem to have a plan as to how are we going to get the points, which we seem to have the answers for such situations currently, which is a good thing to have.
Definitely. And going just to go to, I want to share this tab here. Can you see how small the XG was from? It was a low XG chance from Eze. So it didn't even lift the XG that much, and he scored. And I think that's something that I was excited about when we signed Eze, is that he does score from low XG chances, and we need more of that to break low blocks and mid blocks. So I was very excited to see him execute one of his low XG shots, and against his old team, it was just poetic. So yeah, I think let's go to Greg next. What's your thoughts, Greg?
Sorry, on the Palace game.
Yeah, on the Palace game.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, had to be Eze, eh? It just had to be him. Yeah, look, again, I think, to echo Ryan's point, probably the strongest opposition we faced this season, just as a point of where they are, the consistency of the team, how they're being managed. Yeah, again, that defensive solidness is a base from which if you keep in the goals out, you just need one chance. And that's how it was. Hey, we got that chance and we executed it. And like you said, it was a low XG chance, but as they tucked it away, like one of the other guys mentioned, obviously he scored a similar goal against us last season. So nice to have the reverse fortune. And again, it's just a good example of the fact that the good defense, we're getting a goal in a tight game like that, and we're coming away with the win. And that's I was actually watching earlier on Instagram some United people sitting on a podcast together, sitting in a studio, and the one chick was sort of saying, it was funny, she was comparing Arsenal to United to have a big laugh. Even the other guys, the other United fans in the studio were laughing at her. They were like, well, stop, don't compare us, stop. But she was saying, I mean, look at this here, like Arsenal have only conceded 3 goals. I mean, let's get real here. She was saying because obviously in their game yesterday, they were 1-0 down, came back 2-1, and then conceded another goal against Nottingham Forest. So look, again, that defensive solidness, that base from which to build. I mean, that is the I think the secret sauce, if you will, for our season. And I think we just need to keep that solidity, keep that fire going. I don't see it becoming a problem. I think when you find that rhythm, and again, on the back of the last 3 seasons, and yes, a trophy is a trophy, and blah 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 blah. But Mikel Arteta has said, and very rightfully so, if you look at the past 15 seasons or something like that, our points tally in the last 3 seasons, we've won 8 titles or something stupid like that. I don't know the exact numbers, but when you're building off a base of that consistency, you look at our recruitment again, like Gabby was injured for a couple of games. We're bringing Mosquera into defense, and he's slotting in like he's a Gabriel 2.0. I mean, it's just ridiculously good. So yeah, I think overall, again, just more positivity, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. It is special. That is something that we have to treasure and enjoy while it's happening. Let's go on to the next game, the Brighton game. I didn't watch this game. I fell asleep. So I would like some help. Eugene, what did you think of the Brighton game? I know we had 10 changes to the starting lineup, and we had a lot of our young players playing. So what was your thoughts on that game? You're very delayed, bro.
Can you guys hear me?
It's just a bit delayed.
Okay. All right. Yeah, the Brighton game. Yeah, that was when we had. That was one of the most unorganized sides or unorganized showings we've put in this year. Yeah, it was 2-0, but it could have been 2-0 to Brighton by halftime. The amount of chances we gave up. But anyways, it's 10 changes from the side that played over the weekend, and I think only Eze started amongst the starters that started on the weekend, and then it was changes all around. The one person that I was impressed about, it was the goalkeeper, Kepa. He looks like he's the real deal. He, when Chelsea signed him and he became the most expensive goalkeeper of all time, and He came. I think the price tag just weighed on him. Um, but yeah, when he couldn't handle it, and it wasn't a surprise. But then he moved to Bournemouth, I think, last year, and he did very well. I think he was one of the best goalkeepers last year. And for us to just get him for 5 million, I think it was a steal. And he's continued from that form, or when he was at Bournemouth, because he was just faultless. I was looking at him, playing out with the feet, and I was looking at the saves he makes, and I'm like, no, this guy, contrary to what's happening there at Anfield with that Mamadashvili, that I'm not really impressed with. This guy is filling me with confidence. He's showing me that if something were to happen to Raya, I can depend on this guy. And yeah, that was that one good performance from him. Um, the other person that I was impressed with was Hinkapie. For me, he's looking like, the pace. I just liked the pace. The pace for recovery is more like our Mickey van der Ven, because he's got that just blistering pace from the defensive position that I think we are lacking, because look, Willow is quick, but I think that guy is a rapid. I think he's rapid and he's a good defender at the end of the day. So yeah, it was one performance where it was going to be scrappy either way with the number of changes we made. Liverpool made the same number of changes, and they lost at the end of the day. We didn't lose. We went through, and this is one cup that we need. If we can win this cup, I think we haven't won this cup since 1992 or something. If we can win this cup, it fills everyone with confidence, because if there is one thing, with particularly with myself, and I might be speaking for a lot of Arsenal fans globally, is that even though we are impressive and we're doing what we're doing, there is that feeling that Arsenal, they can just pull an Arsenal on us, but if they go on and win this cup, they are filling us with such confidence that, one, the quadruple dream remains alive for some people. Two, it says to us we can win titles, and if we can get to the semifinals with this changed team, and then we start playing our main team in the semis or in the final and win it fills everyone in the squad, everyone in the club, everyone associated with the club with confidence to say, hey, these guys mean business, and everyone will be looking at us, and they will be worried. I think they are already worried, but if we can win that cup, then it takes us up levels. And yeah, I was very impressed with how we came back to win that match in the second half. Ethan Waneri, the oh damn, yeah, we just lost the wicket. Our captain is out for 101. We are on 220 for 7 with like 8 overs remaining, so it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, because I think we're needing like 79 runs to win. Doesn't look good, but yeah. Going
I
back
think
to
Arsenal is there to keep us happy.
to the team, to the game against Brighton. Yeah, that was one two impressive things that I saw. The other one was Max Dowman. He just looks seamless. He looks the real deal also, and I like the way Mikel is managing his minutes. Not just throwing him into the deep end. Just giving him a taste of minutes here and there, and I like it. I really like it.
Awesome. What's your thoughts, Renai, on the Brighton game?
Also, I think I'm loving Mikel so much, in the sense that last season I was his biggest critic for the way in which he would be managing minutes, and the late changes that he would often make. They used to be very frustrating. But now we are now in a position where he's got the squad depth, and he's also brave enough to say, "I've got guys that are not starting, but they are also good enough to start." Because if you look into the guys that played that Brighton game, as much as they are not starting many of our games, those guys can be proper starters in any of the top 8 teams in many instances. There are players who could be in the starting 11 of teams that are in the top 8, but in our case, we are able to have the luxury of having them to play them in cups like the Carabao Cup. And I was also quite impressed in the manner in which the guys responded. Yes, the defensive side of it wouldn't be as solid as our normal starting defense in other games. Obviously, they would need to gel. They would need some chemistry there and there. We did see there were mistakes there and there, but you could see that these are guys that are equipped with both the tactical awareness and the tactical ability to be able to step up when they are called upon. And I was quite impressed with our two youngest players, which is Dauman and Nwaneri. Nwaneri looks so comfortable on the ball, and the way he's so fearless about taking his shots, it's something that is very encouraging. And I feel we are going to see a lot of him affecting games positively, and probably him and Doman might also be standout players for in the Carabao Cup, because I believe they would be getting a lot of minutes there, and rightfully so. When those guys are being given minutes, they are proving to everyone that they belong where they are. They are able to turn up the heat when needed. So it was a good game to see that even if we are not starting, we are not one dimensional in a sense wherein we are dependent on our normal starters. And that also gives the guys who are starters to say, hey, we need to up our game, because if we do drop form, there are guys who are hungry enough, who are equally capable to come in and fight for that position. So there is no one who's guaranteed to start. If you look at it from the point where those guys are much more than capable of coming in and positively affecting games as well. So I really love to see that whole new team, which some pundits were even making comments such as they are good enough to a point where if they were to come in and contend in the league, they would easily be a top 8 team. So it was a good sight to see what we can do other than starting our normal starting 11, which is something that we did in all competitions previously. So this different strategy might just give us this cup, since we haven't won it in such a long time.
You're muted there, man.
Sorry about that. I was just trying to get a WhatsApp link for the person who asked for a WhatsApp link. Greg, what did you think of the Brighton game?
I think for me, I think for me, on the Brighton game, even with all the changes, to the lineup, again the defensive dominance, and still, not conceding, not conceding chances, shots, and targets. Again, just the defensive dominance, even with all the changes, I think was the highlight for me of that game.
And then Ryan, what's your thoughts? Greg, you broke up a bit there. Ryan, what's your thoughts on the Brighton game? I know you didn't watch the last game, but let's hear a bit from you about the Brighton game.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed the Brighton game because it was a different kind of game to watch. As Eugene said, honestly, aside from Kepa's saves and some terrible shooting from Brighton, we could have gone down a few goals. We actually could have conceded a couple, to be honest. We were quite vulnerable at times on defense. But we had good moments. The Nwaneri's goal and Saka's goal were actually very similar, and they were opposite to what we used to, because they both came from the left side and they shot to the right, which was unique. Nwaneri's goal was lucky because there was some pretty average goalkeeping there. I think he should have saved that, but a very good shot nonetheless. What was cool to see was we saw Ben White play. We saw Norgard play. We saw some minutes from players that we haven't seen too much of so far this season. There's been some criticism of Norgard, but I mean, you need to give the guy a minute, let him get back into the rhythm of things and figure out our system and how we play. And also, it's quite tricky to play against a kind of half junior Brighton team. In a cup tournament, he'll get there. I think our best player was Kepa, in my opinion. I think Saka had a lot of good moments. I think Saka will come right. He'll score soon because I think he has had an impact. He's just not finishing like he normally does. But yeah, I thought it was a decent enough game from a junior team, but we certainly didn't have the defensive prowess that we normally do from our regular starters. But as Greg said, another clean sheet, man. So that's it. Even when we're not playing our best, we're still protecting the goal. So that's a statement. And as Eugene said, honestly, if and touch wood, let's hope this doesn't happen. But if Raya gets injured, honestly, I wouldn't mind Kepa getting in there. He's a really, really good player. I know he doesn't offer as much on the attacking front and our build-up play, but he's a very, very good goalkeeper, and it's an absolute steal. So well done to the recruitment team.
Just wanted to say that's the next games. We're playing Palace next in the League Cup. And the other teams that are left are Man City and Brentford. Chelsea are playing Carlisle and Newcastle Fulham. So most likely going to be, we're going to be playing City or Chelsea or Newcastle in the semi or the final. So, but Crystal Palace will be a tough game. It's only on the 16th of December, so it's quite a while away. So we have a bit of time to play other tournaments in the meantime. So let's go on to the last game that we're reviewing, and that's the past game against Burnley, where we won 2-0 after 2 first-half goals. Gyökeres was my standout player for that game. Really just had such an amazing game. Even though Rice won the man of the match, I think it's just because Gyökeres went off at half-time. I think Gyökeres would have won the man of the match if he had stayed on the whole game. But he had so many good touches, good ball to Trossard for Rice's goal. So, yeah. What's your thoughts on it, Renai?
Again, it was a phenomenal game for Gyökeres, like you said. I like the fact that as much as he's not scoring as much as we would have expected him, but I think the amount of shift that he has brought into that front line has allowed our attack line to have much more space on the ball. And he's keeping about 2, sometimes 3 defenders that are constantly monitoring his movements, and that then allows us to be in a position where we can throw in some good crosses, which we know that as far as crosses are concerned, we are very good into converting those into goals. And I think the shift that he brings in, or rather the manner in which he is so presently there it sort of give our players that are on the wing to have much more of the ball without being doubled up on like they used to. So for the most part of Mikel's tenure, we've been playing a lot from the wings, and as a result, teams were now doubling up on our threatening wings in order for us to be neutralized. So him being there sort of makes us be in a position wherein they cannot afford to commit more than they are already committing on the wings. So that gives us a lot of shift, and it allows us to be in a position wherein we can play a lot more in the final third. So it was a brilliant game for him. Rice forever making a difference where sometimes it's not even an issue wherein he's scoring goals or he's providing assists, but him constantly marshalling that midfield, it allows us to have so much balance, and the amount of shift that he brings in, and I think he gels very well with Zubimendi in a way which allows us to be in a position wherein we are controlling our games. I'm yet to see a game wherein we were dominated in the midfield, which is a very, very, very telling story. I get the defensive side, but I think our defensive strength also lies in the manner in which we do not allow ourselves to be dominated from the midfield. So I think that could be what is also stabilizing us so much so that you hardly get a chance because you have to deal with a very solid midfield that is disciplined and that is also very much capable of building up attack from that point. So I love the way in which everyone just rise to the occasion and ensure that they are playing and dying for the badge.
No, definitely. It is special. As you said, Rice's especially his breaking down of play. He's just so good at getting those loose balls or tackling players when they're trying to break through our lines, intercepting as well. He's just supreme. And for him to perform that well on the back of the death of his aunt is really special. One player that didn't play that well was Saka, but he's... I think it was someone that was talking about it, said that he could have still be carrying a knock, and I think they had to rush him back quicker with Madueke's injury. Is anyone a bit worried about Saka's lack of goals and assists this season? And
Just one more point. I think one person who also had a really really good game yesterday was Trossard. Trossard was everywhere.
Yes.
Like he had a brilliant game.
Yes. No, that's a good point. Trossard. The thing about Trossard though is I find like he can play badly in the first half and play really well in the second half, and then I feel like it was the opposite against Burnley. He had a really good first half, and then he kind of dropped off in the second half. So he's the kind of player who's unfortunately not playing as well for a full 90 as well as someone like Zubimendi is, or a Rice, who just consistently perform throughout a full 90. But he did have a good first half, and so I just want to look at the league, and obviously City now are busy playing, so they have popped up to second, and they play Liverpool next. So this kind of links nicely into speaking about our rivals in the league. What are everyone's thoughts on City, and how much of a rival do you think they're going to be? Obviously, we're 6 points ahead, and they're playing Liverpool next. So I think we're all kind of really hoping for a draw in that game. So what is everyone's thoughts, and are they playing at Anfield or at the City ground? Let's go to Eugene.
Yeah, man. Please excuse me for the late response. I'm seeming not to hear some of you guys on my device, so I'm depending on listening on the stream first, and then I can respond. The City I think they are too Haaland dependent. Last week Haaland didn't score, they didn't win. Today he scored twice, they're winning. In the past, I think most of his goals are match-winning goals, and I think that's it's not similar to what we've been, but it's almost similar to what we've been, almost, because in the past we've had like one or two players that if they were not in the team, we would struggle. If they were playing well, we would win. If they were not playing well, we wouldn't win. And I think that's where City are at the moment. They're playing Liverpool at home next week. I think they're playing Dortmund first during the week in the Champions League, and then they're playing Liverpool, who were. Okay, I think yesterday was probably their best performance this year, but they were not convincing yesterday. I think once they scored, and in the second half they had much more control than they did in the first half. I think Aston Villa should have went 2-0 up in the first half, but yeah, football is football. It's funny that Arne Slot is now reverting to using the team that won him the title, putting his 400 million worth of signings on the bench to start the team that won him the title, and it was able to win him a game, so while our players that are supposedly struggling are starting and putting in match-winning performances, some of them against their own clubs, and some are scoring very vital opening game goals. But yeah, to go back to Burnley yesterday, yeah, I liked the performance. No nonsense, rigid, score 2 goals and just concentrate for the entire match. One thing I'm so gassed up about is, for the first time, I've never seen this. What we are witnessing right now, I've never seen it before, that a team can go 3 or 4 games without conceding a shot on target. And it's now becoming a thing that, did we concede a shot on target? And whenever the opposition is having a ball, we're like, oh, are they going to have a shot on target? Like it's so fascinating to see this level of defensive stability. I've never seen it before. I'm sure you can go back to any side in Serie A. By the way, we just lost the 9th wicket. We're 1 wicket short of losing this final. But yeah, we can go back to some of the best defensive displays when Italy was winning the World Cup. I think in 2006, they only conceded an own goal en route to the final, and then that penalty by Zidane in the final. But I'm sure they were conceding lots and lots of shots on target. I've never seen this. I'm not sure with you guys, and it's so refreshing that it's being done by us now. We've moved away from those, tippy-tappy, football that we used to play. Scoring beautiful goals, but also conceding, stupid goals. But now, I like this. I like this, and the fact that Liverpool and City are going to next weekend's match with it being a must-win for both sides, it's so refreshing for us.
Yeah, I actually want to talk about the shots on target thing that you mentioned. And there was a game in 2019 when Arteta just started, where Watford had 31 shots. I know they're not all on target, but they had 31 shots. I don't think we've conceded that many shots in like our last 5 or 6 or 7 games. So I actually know against Brighton we conceded 16 shots. So maybe in our last 5 games, but that's still remarkable, the improvement. And I think that's something that, going back to Wenger, is he had the foundations from George Graham, who was a very defensive manager. And then he came in and built a very attacking and bought a lot of attacking players, but he built on Bold, Keown, Adams, Winterburn, and Dixon, who were more George Graham players. And then just brought in the Sol Campbells and the Colo Torres, and they did very well. but I think that's why I think his success came 2 years into his stay. He came in 96 and then he quickly won the league title in 98. So I think defensive solidity is definitely something that, as someone said earlier in the pod, it wins you titles. So I just want to go to this comment here about Odegaard. He's saying that he's worried that he won't get back into the team. He says that we are very physical and he's worried that Odegaard isn't that robust. And I think that is a good thought to ponder, because he's now been injury prone. Are we going to ease him back? I think we should. We don't have to rush him back. Like, I think we rushed him back too quick in 24-25, and that's why he wasn't himself. I think he was still carrying an injury. That's my opinion, and I just felt maybe the same with Saka, but Saka's just not looking himself this season. So it's going to be interesting to see. But just going back to the rivals, the way the log is looking, it's really looking good with Liverpool and Man City playing each other. And then let's go look at the Champions League log. So we've got.
Sorry, I just wanted to comment on that Saka point. I don't.
Yeah.
Is he now like performing badly, or is he just not standing out like he was in previous seasons because he was carrying the team? I just think that holistically, our squad is just so deep and so experienced now and so well built that his performances, yes, okay, he might not be hitting massive assist numbers and massive goal numbers and whatever. I think his performance as a player, I think our performance as a team is testament to how Arteta's built the squad and how the consistency is shining through. And I really don't think that saying Saka's dropped off on his performance, again, it might not be reflecting in assists and goals, but I think he's still the player that he was. You know, he hasn't completely fallen off the bus, if you will. That's my one point. And my other point is...
Sorry, let me clarify what I mean, Greg. I mean that Saka was like an 8 out of 10 most games in the last 2 seasons, and he's now like a 7 out of 10. I don't mean he's dropped off to like a 6 or a 5 out of 10. I just mean that he's not at his normal level, and it's not only about goals and assists. I just feel like even those 2 shots, I mean, Gyökeres should have had 2 assists against Burnley. He kind of didn't put them both away, and those were good opportunities in open play. So it's not, I'm not picking on him. I mean, I think he set such a high standard for himself, and I think it's obviously difficult to stick to that high standard, especially when you've picked up your first big injury of your career and being out for 3.5 months with the hamstring and going for surgery. So I still love Saka. I still believe I'd still start him over Madueke if they both fit. It's just, I think that, as you said, we don't have to rely on him as much. So that's also definitely a point I agree with. We don't have to rely on Saka that much as we used to in previous seasons.
There are 3 factors that I think are really important with regards to Saka. The first is and it's a weird observation that I made, and it came through fantasy football actually. But 2 weeks ago, Saka got DEFCON points, which is defensive contribution points. So he actually got extra points in the fantasy Premier League because he was making so many tackles. So he's contributed a lot on the defensive side, and there's 2 reasons why. The first reason is, as I mentioned earlier, the most chances created in the Atletico game, for example, for us came from Zubimendi, and Zubimendi doesn't play to Saka at all. He plays to Gyökeres and he plays over the top. And we tend to be doing that at the moment. And also Eze doesn't play to left or right. He plays straight through the middle. So we're not playing to Saka, and Saka's not our focus right now. So there were a few chances where he does get an opportunity. I think he might miss 1 or 2, whereas in the past, instead of now he's taking 4 or 5 the whole game, whereas he was taking 12 or 13 and scoring 1. He's not taking as many now. So I don't think he's dropped off. I think our team is no longer based solely around him. So I do think he'll get back into it, and I think we'll change things around, because I think they're going to start focusing all of their energy defending Gyökeres, and then we'll focus a bit more on Saka. What we've also done a lot of is play through Trossard. So that's also given a different kind of opportunity. And I think the reason is because Trossard puts his head up, puts in crosses, and he targets Gyökeres. So I just think it's been a structural change. I think Saka will get back to it. I just think, when you've got that one chance, you panic, and then it's like, oh, fuck, I didn't get it. Sorry for swearing again. It's chaos tonight. Whereas normally he would get 5 or 6, and then he'll slot the one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that is a good point on Saka. Let's quickly look at the log, the Champions League log, and it kind of leads nicely into some of the fixtures that are coming up. We have got Bayern Munich coming up in our fixtures, and they are the other team in Europe that is flying at the moment with 14 wins and no losses. We've got 13 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss. So we've played 15 games. We've played 1 game more than them. So it's going to be an epic clash. Harry Kane is in amazing form, but I do believe we are going to actually handle them. I see us winning. I see like a 3-1 or a 2-1 win. So because they will attack us, so they're not going to sit back like even City did and other teams have been doing. Most of the teams, other than maybe Liverpool and Brighton, have sat back. So it's going to be a good game. So that's in the Champions League. So we sit doing well there. We haven't conceded a goal in the Champions League, which is crazy. And what are the other games coming up? I think we've got Sunderland next in the league. Then we've got the Bayern game. Let's look at some of our fixtures. Let me just go to the fixtures. Okay, let's go to Arsenal. And fixtures, we've got a North London derby. We've got Slavia Prague first, then Sunderland, then Spurs, then Bayern, then Chelsea. So some tough fixtures coming up. What's your thoughts on, I suppose we're going to review the next 2 because by then we'll have another pod. So let's look at Slavia Prague and Sunderland as the main focuses. So playing Xhaka again, and I think that Zubimendi is obviously injured, but he's also on a yellow card ban, so he won't be playing against Slavia. Who would you rest? Who would you play against Slavia? And then we can continue. Let's hear from.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to zip out. But I just wanted to end with this statement and say, first of all, thanks. It's been so great to chat. It's always such a lekker time with you guys to talk about the team and where we're at and unpack all of the things that are going on. It's always fantastic to chat to like-minded people, and get stoked about it. This is very lekker. So thanks, Dayne. I really appreciate you putting this together. The one thing I do want to say is imagine that last season people were saying Arteta should leave. Just take that in for a second. We're having, I think the last time I was on this podcast last year, towards the back end of last season, folks, we were having a debate about this exact thing, about whether Arteta should stay in the club or whether he should leave and make space for someone else to come in. And you have to just think to yourself, sitting where we are now, that we're even having that conversation. It's wild. It's wild that there were Arsenal fans. There were Arsenal fans in our Arsenal fan group that were like, nah, Arteta out. We're not sure. He's not getting us the trophies. He's not getting us over the line. Just thinking about where we're at now and the system that he's built and the recruitment that he's done. And it really is, it's a culture build. It's the culture that he's built at the club. It's a system, and I kept saying the trophies will come. I promise you, the trophies will come. Back the man, and look where we are now. And I'm pretty damn sure that come the end of the season, we're going to be smiling as fans because we're going to lift at least one trophy, a major trophy, and we're going to be very, very happy with our team's performance over the season. So I just had to slide that in there.
Slide it in. Just slide it in. Just slide it in. Nice, Greg. Thank you for your contribution. We loved having you on. We are going to round up soon, so let's just go to Eugene.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
What's your thoughts on the two fixtures coming up for November?
Cheers.
What's your thoughts on the two fixtures coming up?
I think the next two, just to follow up on what Greg said, I don't know, but I'm sure there still are Arsenal fans that want Arteta out. I think that's always going to be the case. Hopefully we win a trophy this season. That would be awesome. Slavia Prague and Sunderland. I think Sunderland's going to be tough because they'll play a low block probably. I think they've got some attacking prowess as well. It'll be a physical game. So let's see. I don't know. I think you do need Zubimendi, but I'd like to see Norgard in one of these games. Maybe Slavia Prague. Yeah, get Norgard in. Let's see what he's about. I think we can rotate a little bit. I think it'll be nice to maybe get some Miles Lewis-Skelly in, Nwaneri in, see a bit of rotation. Good opportunity for them to go to a really difficult place in the world to play and travel a little bit. Rest the starting players so we don't get injuries. I think we'll win both, but I think they'll be tough. I think Sunderland will be... No, I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be okay. My biggest concern is actually probably Sunderland of this whole group here. I think we'll beat Spurs. I know we're not going to talk about that too much now. Thomas Frank plays very defensively, so that could end up in 0-0. So we need to find a way to score early. Bayern Munich will win, I think. Chelsea, I think, will win. Yeah, I think Sunderland's probably the trickiest match. It would be cool to see Xhaka, but also really cool to beat him.
Yeah, good points there. I think the Slavia game, and just talking about lineups, I think I looked at the amount of minutes that the different players had played, and Rice has played some of the most minutes this season. It's tough though because now Zubimendi's got this suspension, so Rice probably will play. But I would have liked to have rested Rice, and it looks like we're going to have to play him. And then also because he's had this loss of his aunt, I think it's maybe he was running on adrenaline yesterday, and he might maybe need a bit of time to mourn. So that's my one thought on the starting lineup, and maybe even trying Norgard and someone like Miles Lewis-Skelly in midfield at the 8. So Norgard in the 6, Lewis-Skelly at the 8, and then Eze in the 10. So that's something that I was thinking about. And then we've got Martinelli who's injured. We've actually got a bit of a kind of a forward injury mini crisis with Gyökeres potentially injured. He's also played a lot of minutes. So him and Rice have played the most minutes of the outfield players other than Raya. So I think we'll probably see Marino at centre forward. I think the game would suit him. And then I'm thinking that you'll probably see Trossard again at left wing or Eze, and then Saka at right wing. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. What are your thoughts, Renai, on the starting lineup and on those two games?
I would also like to see on the Slavia Prague game. I would like to see Norgard playing. If we could, I would be happy with Rice being rested, and Nwaneri can also start. They are not a side which we can say that I think if we can also start Nwaneri, that would also be some good minutes for him. There are games, I think last season, where he played in the Champions League and he played very well. So I think if we are to try him out, also this game would be a very good game for him to play also.
Yeah, I mean, we got a comment.
Yeah, I think
He's saying that he would want to see Marino and Norgard in midfield if Gyökeres is injured, unless Gyökeres is injured. But we could also play Trossard at a false nine, and Eze left wing, Wanyeri in front of Marino and Norgard. So the thing is, we have a lot more options in our front six that we haven't had before in previous seasons.
Kepa also, I would also love to see Kepa getting a run in the Champions League also. So yeah.
Yes.
Maybe Ben White as well.
You know what, gents? I really think I think we should go for this one. I think Zubimendi, he's out. He's out. So I think go full strength. I really think go full strength because this is the Champions League, gents. It's not Carabao Cup. And we've seen last year what happened with teams like Manchester City, who were out of that top 8, where they had to play that round of 16 knockout thing, and they ended up getting Real Madrid there. I really think, you just read out the fixtures after this. I think we've got, after this match, Slavia Praha, we've got Bayern Munich, and then I think we still have to play Inter sometime next year in Jan. And then we still have Kairat Almaty or something. But, still having to play 2 teams that we could lose against. We could still... We lost to Inter last year. We mustn't forget. We lost to Inter. Yeah. We're playing Bayern, who haven't dropped any points in this season. They've not won a game. So those are 2 potential matches that we could drop points in. So I'm feeling, go to Slavia Praha with your best team and win that match. Halftime, 2-0 up, 3-0 up, and do the changes. You can play all those Nwaneris and Max Daumans and everybody else, but get the points first, because you don't want to find yourself adding on fixtures, because it looks like we might be playing a 2-legged Carabao Cup semi-final. You don't want to also add that 2-legged round of 16 round in the Champions League, and potentially have to play someone who might have caught form like Paris Saint-Germain did last year, because out of the blue they caught form and they were nearly unbeatable, and then you find yourself being knocked out of the Champions League. Let's first play our best side, win the points, then we can make the changes, just to make sure we get the full or we are in the top 8. And then against Sunderland, it's the same. This thing of resting players close to the international window. It's the after the Sunderland match, it's the international break. So you rest them, and then they go international, they play. You get what I mean? So you rest them, you drop points, and then you regret not playing them. But then they go there, they play for Brazil, and then they get injuries. You should have played them and gotten the points. You get what I mean? So that's my 2 cents.
It's an interesting theory around the international window. I think it is a good point. I think it is something that we need to approach differently, and I think we have been doing better with faking injuries or kind of putting people in cotton wool near the window and kind of restricting how many games people played in the international window. I think that's something that we've been cleverer with in the last 18 months, especially with our injury crisis that we had last season. So, yeah, but Randy is saying that we should play, Randy Theoris, also I know him from the Facebook group, is saying we should play more full strength. So that's, it's interesting. I think it's nice to hear the different perspectives coming through. And let's talk a bit about our rivals in the Premier League and the UCL. I know we talked a bit about City. What have you guys made of Liverpool's drop off? I know that Renai and I've had a few conversations about it, and I think Eugene, we've had private conversations about Liverpool. Ryan, what's your thoughts? I know that I haven't had many conversations with you about Liverpool's drop off. What is your thoughts on that?
Two things just before I talk about that. Eugene made a really good point, because I've just checked now. Slavia Prague are unbeaten in their last 5 games, and in the league, in the first 14 games, they haven't lost a single one. So it's not a bad side. It's not a bad side. It's a difficult game to play away. So that's not a bad shout, actually. Just get the win, start a good team, see what we can do. In terms of Liverpool, when we played Liverpool both times last season, the second leg I thought should have been a draw. The first leg I thought we should have won. I didn't think we deserved a draw at all. And frankly, I didn't think they were a very good team last season at all. And then when this season started, even in The Athletic, they were saying that Liverpool are going to be unbeatable. They are going to go from strength to strength. I don't think they're a good team. I've never thought they were a good team. Defensively, they're weak. They don't have much structure at all. They relied on Salah having the best season of his entire career last season. Now he's gone off the boil and they can't score a goal. I'm not surprised, personally. I'm really not surprised. As soon as they've been under pressure, we've seen excuses coming from Slot. We don't have a strong enough squad. We don't have a squad like City's squad. I had to play teenagers. I think Liverpool, honestly, and I'm speaking out of turn and too soon here because it's too early on in the season, I don't think they're going to win a title for another 5 years. I don't think they're a very good team. I think our biggest competition is City, who is in fact a good team. I think the Pep Guardiola has given up possession and he's handing the ball to other teams and he's trying to play on the counter-attack, which is a bold move, but it's working because Haaland is scoring. I think City is our challenger. I think Liverpool is done. That's my opinion.
Cooked. Ryan just cooked Liverpool. Eugene and Renai, what do you think? If any of you wants to jump in, I know that this is something you guys have been enjoying, seeing Liverpool drop off.
Well, I'm also not surprised. It's something that even last season there were a lot of moments of brilliance where when there was nothing happening, a Trent will just whip in a very long pass to Salah. Salah will either create or score a goal. And we saw that way too many times. And with Trent out, it simply meant that half of the chances that they were creating are gone with him. I mean, Trent created so many chances that even some attacking midfielders were not raking in such chances created. I think if I remember my numbers very well, as far as chances created is concerned last season, he was in the top 10. And for someone who's playing from at the back to create so many chances, it says a lot about how much of a threat he is. And he just knew how to find Salah. And after watching the Community Shield, I was very concerned with the defensive base of Liverpool. And I had a chat with some of my colleagues to say, you guys are going to allow a lot of goals in this season. And they're like, no, you're just being a hater because of we won ahead of you guys. And funny enough, last week they came on and say, you had a point actually, because they are all over the place. The amount of goals that they are allowing in, it's ridiculous. And it's not even like they are getting some good chances that are being created. They are just unable to defend. And obviously, if you are going to win just by outscoring the opposition, you can only go so far. So I am really not surprised with what's happening. And I can even go as far as saying that they are more likely going to lose Slot as a coach than they are to win or defend their title.
Okay. That's a bold statement. So what's your thoughts, Eugene? we can't hear you, bro.
I think he's on mute.
Yeah, let's just continue. We can't hear you, Eugene. Maybe just reconnect your audio. Yeah, so I think the pod has gone on a bit long. I think let's round up here. And just who would you say has been your player of the month for and then we'll end off on this. Who's been your player of the month for October? I think mine's been Timber. Timber's been phenomenal for me. Really playing well, solid. Or Rice. Rice has also had a very good October. So yeah, what's your thoughts, guys?
I'd say the same. Rice and Timber, actually. I think they've been sublime. Rice has set up a lot of goals. He's been non-stop. I think he's run the most of any player in the team. And Timber is just, I think, arguably the best right back in the world. And I say arguably because I hate it when people say stuff like that. But he's just been unreal, man. He's been incredible. So I agree, those two.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now, Eugene. What's your thoughts on player of the month for October?
Oh. Yeah, firstly, I wanted to say that guy there, Slot, I think that guy is a fraud. That guy, when I look at him coaching, that guy just throws in all forwards and he hopes for the best. And I think it has caught up with him now. I don't see any tactical masterclass with him. You know, that guy, I think that guy is not gonna last. He might last the season, but yeah, I think the shout that this guy doesn't win any title for the next 5 years. Yeah, I would go with that. They've got a good team. They've got a good squad. It's just not as balanced as ours, and it needs somebody else to just get the best out of them. But yeah, with regards to our best player of the season so far, I think the last time we did the pod, I was going with Calafiori. He's been solid, ever since. But Timber. Yeah, Timber. The thing with Timber is the consistency. He's so consistent, the guy. He's giving you at least a 7 out of 10 every game. Dayne. Yeah, I would go with Dayne. Because he's also consistent, but he's got impact. He impacts the game. There's no coincidence that it's not a coincidence that we're scoring so many goals from set pieces, and the majority of them are from his deliveries. So yeah, I think it's got to be Dayne. I hear there's a thing now on social media about the best midfielder or the best defensive midfielder in the world, Caicedo, Rodri, and all that. I don't care about who's the best midfielder in the world. I just care about where is Arsenal in the league. They can take all those individual accolades. I don't care. I just care, are we going to win the Premier League? Are we going to win the Champions League? That's all I need. And if it's, at the end of the day, if it's Dayne holding the Premier League title, but Caicedo wins the best midfielder of the year, that's good for him.
Chop. Yeah, no, that's a good point, bro. Renai, who's your
for me,
month?
yeah, for me, it has to be Big Gabi. I think the way in which he contributes, we expect so much from him that when he what he delivers regularly, it's like a norm now. We no longer look at it like it's something like he doesn't need to try so much. I mean, this guy, whenever we've got a set piece, you've got about 3 or 4 defenders surrounding him. But one way or the other, he still has a way in which he will either assist or he will score a goal. So I heard one of the YouTubers earlier today saying that he is at a point in his life where in if Arsenal goes on and win the league, we might actually see someone who's putting in a strong shift for a Ballon d'Or in the form of Big Gabi. So I would give it to him. I mean, for a mere fact that we haven't considered a goal, or rather, we've only considered three goals after so many games. I think there needs to be some credit that goes into the defense. And as much as Saliba has been getting all the shouts for the longest of time, but I feel Big Gabi brings in a lot more leadership into that defense. And the manner in which he marshals that defense is also one thing that we tend to not see, but he does that every single game without fail. So I would give it to him.
It's a good shot. I think I saw a stat that he's blocked 42% of the shots that have been shot at our goals. Just Big Gabby, 42% of the shots. That is insane. He just gets his big frame in the way and says, screw you, you're not going to score. So, yeah, good pod, guys. That was a good roundup of a lot of fixtures that we had to get through. Next week, 2 weeks' time, we'll just do 2 fixtures, so it'll be a much quicker pod. And thanks for everyone for coming through, for your opinions. Thanks for the comments, guys. It was great to interact with them. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Even after the pod is live, you can comment on the video once it's posted if you're watching this not live. So thank you very much. And I'm just going to end the stream. Everybody just hang on for 2 minutes, and then we will be back soon.
Cheers, guys.